Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing Week 10 in the NFL right now with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Joe Duffy, of course, takes games that I assign him every week, so he always has the option to pass. A lot of these lines are tough, but right now we're going to cover Miami, Philly. I think I'm seeing an edge here, Joe Duffy. We'll see if you agree with me. Philly obviously having an up and down year. They did get a win and cover against Dallas in OT last week. Miami, of course, coming off of two huge wins when they made the coaching change, and then two losses after that, but both losses, forgivable. They got beat down by the Pats, which is, no shame there, and then they lost to Buffalo team getting a lot healthier, sort of on an upswing, so I feel like both those losses very forgivable. Now they're facing Philly, getting a lot of points. I just don't feel like Philly's that reliable of a team as a big favorite. The line's actually gone up. I actually bet Miami at 6. Now the line market wide is 6.5. Miami plus 6.5. Is that a great bet, Joe?
No, it is not. Now, this line,
okay.
Of course, the odds makers don't like to put the number on a key number, move off or on that. Maybe if it does go up to 7, possibly. Look, the Dolphins got that spike as we knew they would when they fired Josh Philbin. More times than not, as I always say, coaching changes usually work short term. They don't always work long term. And I think that's why Miami, they played well for 2 games, but that has gone really down the toilet. Keep in mind now, years ago when I got started in this business, a guy who was a bookmaker and then wound up selling plays publicly, an old-timer, guy by the name of the Dutchman, a lot of OCs might remember him from the Score Phone days.
OC, original Kappas for our brand new viewers. That's what that refers to.
Yes, original Kappa.
Right.
He's even older than I am.
Which Joe Duffy is one.
Yes, he's very old. But he swore to me that the greatest system in all of sports was betting against teams in the NFL playing their 3rd straight road game. Mm-hmm. Now, does that really hold up? Not necessarily. Miami is playing their 3rd straight road game, but teams as an underdog in the 3rd straight road game are 52, 67, and 1, which means to bet against Miami would be a good play. That being said, I want to be fair and balanced. A team playing their 3rd straight road game, if they lost the first 2, are actually 27 and 18, and that makes sense because, remember, counterintuitive thinking is what works. The odds makers know what the public's thinking, and if you're counterintuitive, you're going to do well. But put those systems aside. The Eagles, I think, are headed in the right direction. Miami, I think, is an awful team. If it weren't for the 2-game spike, which was an aberration, I think they're overrated. I've never been a big fan of Tannehill. Whether or not the Eagles are finally, and Bradford's finally adjusting to this system, I'm not sure, but they do seem to be trending the right way. Philadelphia is so deep at running back with DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews. I think that they're eventually going to wear down Miami. Remember that Cameron Wake, of course, is out for the year. But a big injury. Look, I do think at times, I always say that a team always has a great offensive line if they have great skill position players, but I also don't think you want to ignore offensive line injuries. Well, Jason Peters, he is definitely the Eagles' best offensive lineman. He says he's going to play. Keep a close eye on that because he's one of the better offensive linemen in the league. But all in all, I think the Eagles are the better play here.
Really? Yeah, definitely the running game is a major advantage for Philly, at least on paper. Murray, Matthews, and Sproles is a formidable tandem, and Miami's run defense is not getting it done this year despite the names they have, despite the expectations. So I completely agree with you there. And yeah, I guess the debate really is, Miami had such high expectations this year. Obviously Philbin, brought the team down. And the question now is people are starting to think, well, maybe, the talent actually isn't there and it wasn't all Philbin's fault. That seems to be the camp you're in.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I always say it's amazing how much better your defense is when they're not on the field. We talked about Houston in another game. Everyone was raving about Houston's defense this year. One problem, their star running back got hurt. They have one wide receiver. They have no quarterback. And that's kind of like Miami. I was never a big believer in Tannehill as a quarterback. They don't have much at the skilled positions. And how about that? Their defense has been a major bust this year. So I think they do have the talent on defense. They just don't have it on offense.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, though, I'm just not a believer in Philly to put it together the whole game. They're the kind of team that tends to either get down big early or get up big early and then let teams back in the second half. If Philly is up big in the first half, I'm definitely going to be on Miami in the second half. Joe Duffy, we have a line here of Philly minus 6.5, total 47.5 or 48. You want to go official with anything?
I will go official with Philadelphia, but I agree with you. They're a little bit of an erratic team. Bradford, though, and Murray especially seem to be trending a little bit upward, so I will lay the lumber.
Joe Duffy, we're going to have some drama here. I'm going to go head-to-head with you, tete-a-tete, mano-a-mano. I'm going to go with Miami plus 6.5. What do you think about that?
As far as whether look, I'm always honest. If I know something's going to be a premium play, I say it. I don't know if the Eagles are going to be a premium play, so it may not be a knockdown, drag-out fight at center ice.
Right.
But as far as for the purposes of this video, we are going head-to-head. But I will say with 90% certainty, unless some of my Skype calls talk me into it, this is not going to be my biggest play of the week and may or may not even be a premium play.
All right. Me and Joe Duffy going head-to-head. The line right now, Philly -6.5. Joe Duffy, give a plug for offshoreinsiders.com for people who want to know more.
Yes, I know that my football season's been all the rage in the gambling world, but don't overlook the basketball season. Back over 60% off a 3-0 sweep last night. College basketball is just around the corner. We continue to acquire systems, streamline our work, realize some of the mistakes we've made in the past. It's going to be every bit as good of a college basketball season as it's been NBA, NFL, and college football so far. All the details, offshoreinsiders.com.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Peter.